Hello. Doing what's right is different from doing what is in one's own interest. And sometimes these two go together. When you do what's right, it also becomes what's in your interest. And when you do things that are in your interest, you feel it's like doing what's right. So I had a talk with my daughter the other day. I was upset about some issues, and we talked. And this issue came up. I wanted to give this perspective, and now I'm sharing it more widely because it's a difficult issue to handle in our lives. We are, as humans, based on that, what can we say, way of life that whatever we do for our self preservation, for our self development. It has to benefit us, gain, give us something in return. And we want to navigate a complicated life among people and things and targets, all thinking about what's in our own interest. There's nothing wrong in that. That's the basic of the human way of being. And here we come to an issue. When is it that we must do what's right, even though we can't see that it is in our interest? My philosophy that I learned from the old books and texts and stories from especially the monotheistic religions and the Eastern philosophy, I think, also say the same in another way. It's that even though you can't see your own interest in doing what's right will bring you the right interest back. So if I'm interested in, let's say, a position somewhere and somebody else are in my way, I could feel that it is okay to push them aside so I could take over that position using some means of trickery, manipulation, or maybe aggression against them. That's not doing what's right, that's doing what is in one's egoistic interest. You get the position, but you lose that part of you that had promised itself and promised life not to do such things in order to get that gain. And so it's like we get cursed during that process. And believe me, many people on the top of the world today, if they should just have a moment with themselves before they die, they would know that they have done exactly that. They would really feel bad about it because they've sold something very valuable, doing what's right, for something short term, and that is gaining what is needed or what the interest says I must gain. Sometimes there is no conflict. It's all right that what you do in your own interest also is the right thing. It's the right thing for the world to become a politician and you want to change good and do good in the world. And that also falls in your own interest of becoming a famous and known person or a person who are in the inner circles of influence. But at other times, these interests do not correlate with the long term um, value of doing what's right. It can be like, I have a friend. I told my daughter I have a friend, and I never gained anything really directly from that friend. He never even gave me a present. I didn't do anything similar to him either. Maybe once in 10 years we gave each other a present, but otherwise, we gain from our each other's friendship is something deeper and more. I gain his ideas, friendship, and somebody to talk to. He gains the same, and maybe something else from me too, like of ideas and some funny moments and a walk and a talk. This is common interest for us both. But let's just for a moment put it like he doesn't need me anymore. He has thousand other friends, and he doesn't really need to walk and talk with me to have those fun moments. And the same goes for me. I'm busy. I want to spend my time with the lovable woman I found, and I want to do some other stuff. And so I start neglecting that friend and never hear from him for a long time. So, what is right to do in this situation? Of course, to contact that friend that has been your friend for so long and hear about what's going on in his or her life. and if everything is okay, and maybe you should meet and have a small talk again at one point. If nothing else, you will just know that he is all right and also busy, or she is okay and just living her days with a lot of stuff to do, and you will catch up later. But the right thing to do is to take contact, is to find out why is this friend not talking, what's happening, is he okay, is she all right. Now that seems in conflict with a short-term interest, because you can't see what you're going to get out of spending time and energy on a person you can't really see is in your own interest. That is good in business. When you are doing business with people, you don't expect them to show up all the time or ask about you or send you messages. You expect to finish a transaction and maybe never hear or learn or see them again. The same goes when you are studying or working. Whenever you leave the study or the work, you do not expect those connections to last. And that's normal, because everybody is focused on his or her interest, and new relations will appear on the way that will make those old ones not necessary. That's interest. But if there is a friendship or somebody who has done good to you in the past and now you don't have a time to return that, that is a kind of short, narrowed, sighted egoism that's really widespread today among really, really many people. And maybe I'm one of the few speaking about this value and practicing it. I'm not only speaking, I'm practicing it also with my closest, my family. I had a story when I divorced my wife many years ago, that somebody told me, well, why are you like supporting her and them so much? Why are you doing what you do? And well, you should look to a new life and a new space, a new woman, and spend that money there. I've heard these thoughts from others, and I said, no, that's right. If my own interest tells me to do so, but if that goes in conflict with my duty, with what is right to do, and that is to take care of those whom I have known for many years, and of the woman who had been a companion to me, and I haven't been the perfect husband, that is a kind of redemption for myself. So this is a long-term interest for me that doesn't really give me any gain here and now, but doing what's right becomes in my own interest, whether I benefit from it or not. So my daughter asked me, but what about the expectations? When you do something good or right, you call that friend, you are expecting a nice answer. What if your expectations fails? I say, yeah, we are hurt from failed expectations. And some people tells us don't have too high expectations, and maybe don't have expectations at all. People change and you can't recognize them anymore because they're following their narrow egoistic interest. And if you at one point later become a point of interest to them, they will come back with a big smile and a present and apologize and try to find their way in again, because now it's mounting to some kind of interest. We can accept that on a certain level. Let's say I have known someone for years and haven't talked to this person, and suddenly I'm in their town and I can't find a place to stay. And so I call them or I talk to them. Hi, how is it going? Long ago. They don't take it personally and they don't take it seriously, because they're also like, have been neglecting talking to me because we didn't meet for so long. There is nothing more between us than that. So now, when I have an interest, I can easily ask and they will respond. There is no failed expectations there, because they didn't have any big expectations, more than keeping in touch from time to time. And we didn't do that, neither of us. But now I'm in a situation where I need a place to stay and I'm in their town. And they can respond however they like. Maybe they will be um, good, helpful, and maybe not. Doesn't matter. What matters is my expectations hasn't been that high about the outcome or return. But when you do what's right, I told my daughter, you do not mix that with your expectations. You can get hurt. You would like to get a smile back on your smile. You would like to have a thank for the good you're doing, but you do not expect that to happen all the time. And if it doesn't happen, you get hurt, broken in your mind about that expectation. Depending on how high that expectation has been, it will hit you harder every time if you've been expecting something great from that person, or love in return, or a relation. But if it doesn't happen, you're hurt, you are wounded, you need to get over it. But It takes time, but that doesn't have to mix with doing what's right. You don't need to change in doing what's right just because your expectations are not met by these people. This is what altruism and charity work is all about. It's about giving to others what you would like others would give you in their situation, standing by them because you know that's the right thing to do, stepping in because you know this is how it is to be a deep feeling human, a kind of a hero, a king on on the horse, the knight in the shining armor. We've lost many of these values, and people who practice them today, they get laughed at, or at least not taken seriously, because many people see everybody's following their own short-term interest. No need to keep up with a relation that's not going to give me anything. I have at one point in my life tried to text with many beautiful girls and those, you know, who want to find a spouse or a partner, some of them in the East, some of them in the West. And I tried, let's say, I say, let me find that one who could maybe share my interest and so on. And it was very, very difficult because as soon as they find out, well, you're not for that quick relation they're looking for, or maybe some online exchange of what can you say, exchange of pleasure, well, they lose their interest in you immediately. And those who want you and know that maybe you're not the richest guy or can't get them over, they have to do the effort themselves, they lose interest as well because they they don't look further than what can this guy do for me here and now. Nothing much. Okay, let me find the one who is willing to do much more. But maybe what many people are missing, I'm saying maybe, but really I believe what many people are missing is that maybe that exact guy you have left, if you looked at it on what's right, on the long term, if you get ill or sick, it would be the person who would stand by you and not leave you for somebody else because you're not looking further than your needs here and now, your interest. Maybe that same person is the person who has the depth and knowledge and understanding and the calmness, responsible attitude that you will be needing later. You could just can't see it because you don't have it right now. But doing what's right will lead you to that point where it will fulfill that interest that you were looking for in the first place. People do not understand these meanings around the world anymore, really, not many, anyhow. And I have felt it because I've been also in situations where I sometimes I said, let me try and talk to this or that person about this help. Once I did it, not once, more than once, I did it as a fake, as a fake test. In a way, I don't know if I can call it fake. It was like I got this idea. What if I didn't have any money right now? I still had a few $100 and I had okay. I didn't need the money, but I had a friend and I said, okay, let me try and ask this friend, presuming that I am really in need right now, and I'll pay him back. And you know, one of them turned his back to me, never answered. Another um, was not good in his answer, and the third, or not the third one, was immediately ready to said, "I will send you. What do you need? $1,000? I will send it to you immediately. Of course, you can borrow from me." I didn't need the money, and I went on saying later, I said, "Okay, problem solved itself. Thank you." But I could see the readiness in that person to do what is right. I'm his friend, and he knows my values, and that I will pay back and be live up to his expectations. And even if I don't, he can expect that things go wrong too. Also, with good friends, you can be surprised or shocked by something rotten in them or a change that's happening. But most of the time, if you can look through the friends and you know who they are and their values, you will never be disappointed. And so he acted on both good faith and doing what's right from his point of view. And the same I would do with the right people, doing what's right. Sometimes doing what's right is also saying no. Like if you have somebody in your family or friendship circles who are abusing or misusing money, and they ask, the right thing is to say no, because these money are put to more gain somewhere else where you can do a better work with them than giving them to someone who does not control his or her economy, and every time they earn some money from a job, they just want to go do stuff or travel or use them in manners so they don't think about the future. And then when they fall in the pit of need, they want you to come and bail them out. The right response is no, also to your kids, because they will learn the responsibility of life and that it can shift and change, go up and down. So, doing what's right can also be saying no. That's not out of egoistic reason or because you don't want to help the friend, but it's because you know that's what the right thing is for that other person, or maybe because they will abuse your goodness in a way that you have seen before or experienced. So, back to the main topic, sometimes our interests go hand in hand with the long term, um, I call it interest as well. I believe deeply in the idea of uh, the humans are, I think several philosophies has this idea that the humans are born and built, programmed in a way to look for their interest. Everything has to be a gain in the ending. It's all a kind of trade, and this kind of thinking is realistic because we all know that's what's happening also behind the faces of charity doers and good doers and people who want to serve others. They're actually serving themselves. We can say it's out of egoistic reasons. We can also say they're doing it with a good heart, but in the end they want to gain something. So if you ask even the person who put himself on the cross or maybe suffered from doing good to others while they're doing bad, you would find that this person has a secret or a pronounced belief that he will gain something good from the God who's watching his deeds. Some person who give out all his money and belongings to charity and live as a poor person, you can say, wow, where is the egoistic and interest in that? It is in maybe finding a deeper meaning in life, finding that side of himself or herself she was missing, getting into a situation where the religion or the God they believe in will reward them for doing so, and they will feel the blessing of life in return. They know that, or they want to experience it. So there's always a gain, also from the long term doing good, doing what's right. You have to believe that deeply to do it. When I supported my wife and my half grown up kid and others, I did it because I knew that was the right thing to do. It's not because they need me, sorry, I need them here and now, or they could do anything for me. And probably I would die without them paying back or being able to return the favor. And maybe they will disappoint me whenever I need them at one point. This has also happened to me. There was once a lady, I was driving and she was in big crisis, and I stopped. She was sitting on a bench day in, day night, and I drove by that road every day for several days and found her sitting there. So I talked to her, and she was in big crisis. Her family had they fallen out, and she's a foreign worker in a foreign country, and she doesn't have any place to go. And she asked me if she could come and stay where we are. I said, well, I have my kids, and but you can do so. And so I gave her the sofa for a night or two and tried to talk to her about her situation. I could have taken advantage of her visit, and she knows I didn't. And I could also have asked for money later, or maybe put her into debt. But I did it because I knew that was the right thing to do. I checked her out, of course, and tried to talk to her and what's going on. She didn't smoke. She wasn't on a drug. She didn't have alcoholic problems. It was just a crisis in her psyche because of something happened in the family, and she felt alone. And the hard working she's doing, never been to her homeland for several time, and there she was. She preferred to sit on the bench than listen to those people she was living with, including some of her near family. And I couldn't just let her sit on the bench like that. I said, okay, you can come and sleep at the couch until you get back to normal state or situation. Now the years went by, maybe 4 years, 3 years. And suddenly I came in a situation where I had to go to that area where she still was living and working. I tried to send a message. And I really didn't know I was going to need her or need anything from her at all. And there she was. She said, "Yes, I'm still here and I got another place to live and things are okay." And I said, "Well, I'm arriving to that place, but I don't have anywhere to stay because there is a crisis in that place during summer because of the tourism." And she had difficulty accepting that, but it's a test. Like, should she do good to me, even though uh, maybe she's not allowed to have people in that room because it belongs to the workplace, but she can accept visitors. So is she trying to help out and find a solution and a way out for me, or is she gonna ignore me? This is what I was standing looking at that time. And then she said, "You can come, we'll find an excuse until you find somewhere else, and you can just, I can leave the door open, or when I'm at work, or whatever you like, and you can rest there until you can get on your way and find the place you need to be." I really didn't expect that this would appear at all, and not from her of all persons. I said, whenever am I gonna need her? And anyhow, I was brought back to the situation where I needed her. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I did what was right at that time, and maybe she is now being tested for doing what's right at this time, or maybe remembering what was done to her of goodness. So I believe deeply that whenever we face any situation, we have to try and do what's right, whether it's our in our short-term interest or no. But many, really millions of people cannot see that and cannot live by it. If you ask someone to wait to get something bigger later, they will tell you, "Give it to me here and now. Give me my salary or give me the reward here and now." And this is how people also treat life, treat each other, treat God, also in their religions, that everything has to be here and now or soon. You promised, where is your gift? Give it to us. We're waiting. You find this psychology in the Old Testament with the problems that the prophets faced with their people and faced with other nations as well. So I believe deeply that we should follow our own interests and self preservation and go on the journey that makes us um, grow and developed. We should not just lay down and give ourselves up for anything. Um, we've been given this life and we have to fight for it to the end if we can. Um, it's easier said than done. But at the same time, I really deeply believe that when you have to do what's right, be altruistic. Do not hesitate, because as that old guy from the Sufi mystics said, Rumi said, "Do good and throw it in the sea. It will return back at another shore." So do good and throw it in the sea. It will return back at another shore. And I have already said that it's not always the right thing to do just to lay down for people or, what can you say, erase yourself and your needs just because you want to do good. You do good when it is good for the others, and you do good as long as it doesn't drown you on the way. If you want to help somebody out of the water, you have to be standing on dry land with dry feet and have some rope or mean, whereas you can help them. But if you don't have all that, you will drown with them, just throwing yourself in the water, you cannot swim. So doing good is also within that kind of understanding. Um, where is your resources and how much can you take? And is it possible for you, or how great is the danger in what you are trying to do? But I see people just avoiding doing good just because they cannot see here and now how that's going to benefit them. And they always rely on that when I meet this person later, well, I can talk my way out of it, or I can explain, or I can put up a big smile, come with a big present, because now I'm in the one in the need and I know this guy is a good-hearted person. They will be altruistic, but don't count on that, because the good-hearted persons and people also remember. They remember if you faltered to help and you stood by looking, and then life turns and things get on, and now you are in a situation where you need them. They won't help you. Maybe they won't um, do you any harm. Maybe they will help you just so you don't get into big misery, but they could have done a lot more for you that they won't do, because they know you have been a cheater, you haven't been a good person, now you're returning with a big smile. This is happening among politicians and people all the time, among tradesmen, and among friends and families in these days, because we've lost this value. And not so many want to do the right thing, even though it's out of the cost of their money or time or effort they're going to put into it. But I believe deeply that's the right thing to do, and that the rewards, both later, short term, long term, and very long term, are really going to show at one point or another. I believe in the Eastern philosophy, they talk about it in the realm of the karma, that something you do now affects your future, and whatever affects your future will get back to you because you're going to meet that future later. And I know many people do good because they know that they're giving back to the universe, as they say. People do not want to talk about God and the return of the present to God. Well, it doesn't matter directly for them to talk about God. What matters is they believe basically that they can do good, put some good in the universe, and in somehow, somewhere, it will return good to them. I have also met people who have this belief that if they are hit by any crisis or illness or problems in their life, that's because they've been lacking their duty. There is something they should have done, they didn't, and now it's returned in a form of an illness or a problem or an enemy or a troublesome situation. And so whenever they do feel that, they go do good. They go out and find somebody to help, and things change, and life alters, and a way shows, and the situation solves itself. And people have experienced that. They have really talked about, I did this and that, and things changed for me. And others said, I know I haven't been good, and now I am being punished for it because there was once a person whom I was arrogant to, and now look, I'm in that same situation, suffering what I was laughing at before. So to sum up, my daughter and I had this, not a talk like this, unfortunately, because we were in a hurry, and the situation wasn't really equipped to have this very long talk. But I gave her a little speech about that it's so important to do what's right. And she talked to me about expectations and how I and others can be hurt because maybe these persons we're doing right to does not have these expectations and return it back. And I told her what I just said in this video, that it doesn't matter, you do what's right, and your future lies ahead of you. And even if you don't have a future in it, there is a universe behind it, there is a creator, there is justice and goodness. It's built on beauty, goodness, and justice, and there's someone watching, and you will be rewarded sooner or later. But do it with wise and clever way that don't hurt yourself directly, or you put yourself into a kind of perilous situation. But do good and do the right thing, and don't look at everybody you meet as if it's just a short-term interest. And whenever that interest seems to heighten, then you heighten your interest in that person, because you don't know what that person is having hidden for you of goods that you cannot see. We know the stories. I told her the story of Bill Gates, who met that newspaper vendor in the streets. He was going to the metro or something, and then he needed a newspaper. He was young at that point, still studying, and couldn't buy it. He lacked the money, and he asked the vendor, "Could I have it? There is an important news I want to see in this." And that salesman, he just gave it to him, even though it's his earning, very, very hard earning, because he's sitting there on the street, and he is, what can you say? He's sitting on the street, and he is trying to earn that money. But he gave it to him, and Bill Gates never forgot it. And then he came back, and um, he got good for it in return. I have to run because my cat just brought her small sibling with her. Oh, how beautiful! I have to meet them. I'm sorry. Have a good day.